In a way, the expectation of changes in the capital gain regime was much higher, while as what the Honorable Finance Minister has done is increased the long-term capital gain tax from 10% to 12.5%, and the short-term capital gain tax from 15 to 20%, and they've also removed the angel tax. So overall, the expectations were of a much higher changes towards higher taxation rates. Instead, they have reduced that expectations, and they've charged very little tinkering has been done over on the tax regime.
Right. Also, with respect to the STT, and this has been in line with commentary that we've been seeing about F&O volumes also, what do you make of that? And, given that this comes after commentary from SEBI also, do you see more measures being taken on this front?
Absolutely. There has been criticism of over-trading in derivatives over last several months. In fact, more than a year since SEBI issued their paper on people losing money. And since then, there has been more debate, discussions, and Honorable Finance Minister also has mentioned about it. Yesterday, Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India mentioned about it. And of course, SEBI chairperson has been also talking about it for quite a long period. So effectively, what government can do from the fiscal side, that is the taxation side, has been done today. Now, the other steps would have to be taken by SEBI and exchanges put together.
Right, right. And, I wanted to understand on the buyback taxation also, now that's going to be taxed in the hands of the recipient. But there's also some commentary on lack of clarity also on the whole buyback taxation. What's your take on that?
Broadly speaking, the buyback tax, the clarity will emerge once you read the fine prints. But overall, I think any government would want to charge people on the slab rates where they belong, and that's where probably the taxing people on the recipient's hand actually ensures that it will go to the person who has to pay the tax, and they can actually take a set-off also against that in case they have capital losses. So that's where I think this is a much more fairer framework going forward.
Okay. And, what do you make of the fiscal prudence currently? The fiscal deficit also has been lower than expected, and with respect to the guidance for FY26 also, and the CAPEX also has largely remained unchanged. So, what does this commentary tell you? Does that give you a lot more confidence about the government? How are the markets looking at this?
In fact, I had talked to several economists over the last 2-3 days, and they were expecting around 5.1% fiscal deficit for financial year 25, which has actually been brought down to 4.9%. So overall, in terms of the fiscal situation, India is on a great wicket today because the tax has been buoyant. And to give you a perspective, India is one of the rare countries across the world, in developing as well as developed economies, which have been able to control their fiscal deficits the way India has controlled during COVID and post-COVID. And I think in some ways they've also controlled the urge to spend more. And that's where you can see the 4.9%, as well as the financial year 26 numbers expected are 4.5%, which is well within overall scheme of things. So overall, in India's fiscal is in good shape, telling you, and of course they have still kept the infrastructure development outlay at 11.1 lakh crore, which is again very credible. Overall, not many countries are in a sweet spot like India is, who is able to spend more, at the same time keep the fiscal deficit in control. And broadly speaking, this should give the international credit rating agencies some food for thought that India's credit rating actually has to be much, much better than what they've been giving it credit for.
Right. And Mr. Chauhan, overall, if you look at the budget, how would you rate that? Because a lot of focus this time has been on job creation, on employment, and also on sort of reviving consumption. That seems to be the overall focus. So overall, how do you rate the budget?
For me, I would rate it 10 out of 10. And a single focus, which is job creation, without hurting the infrastructure creation, without tinkering too much with the tax proposals, and also ensuring that the job creation is now a society-wide responsibility and not necessarily of government. And that's where they have tried to involve the private sector by saying that top 500 companies will generate 1 crore new jobs, and they've given them scopes, including the CSR spend, as well as saying that first salary up to 15,000 rupees of a person in 3 tranches will be provided to the employer. And also some portion of the provident fund of the new employee will have to be paid by the government. So overall, I think this is the way to take every part of the society in creating more and more jobs, which is the need of the hour.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC TV18 on all of our digital platforms.